Hey, Chef Walker, I've got something that's a little bit different for you this week. So, a few months ago, I went down to Brazil, to Sao Paulo, and I spoke in front of 2,500 people there at PLF Live Brazil. So, PLF Live Brazil is put on by Erico Roca, who is my licensee down there, and he publishes the Brazilian language version of PLF. And he put on an absolutely epic event. He does every year, and he invited me to come down and speak. So I went down there and spoke. And while I was on stage in front of all those people, I recorded this video for you. So enjoy. Hey, Chef Walker, and something a little bit different this week. Some of you may have heard of how I got my start. And it was actually back in 1996. And I was a stay-at-home dad. My wife was out supporting the family. I had a couple little babies, and I didn't have anything going on. I tried to make it in the corporate world, but I was a square peg in a round hole. It didn't work. I'd left the corporate world, and I was just home taking care of the babies. And this wasn't just for a week or a month. It was years, actually about 5 or 6 years. And then one time I just got desperate enough where I decided I had to start doing something. That's when I started publishing. I started publishing via email. And that first newsletter, maybe you've heard this, but the first newsletter went out to 19 people. It wasn't really 19 people, because one of them was my wife's email address, one was my second email address, but it felt better to say I had 19 people on my list. And back then I was publishing about the stock market. I didn't have any credentials. I wasn't a registered investment advisor. I wasn't a stockbroker. I just had a lot of knowledge about the stock market. So I started publishing about the stock market, and then that gradually grew through word of mouth. And several months later, I ended up putting together my very first launch. I didn't call it a launch back then. It was just I was scared to sell to anyone. I'd never had done any sales in my life, and I was scared to make that sale. So I ended up romancing people and giving them great content for a long time before I asked for the sale. And then did that first launch. That first launch did $1,650, which, I don't know, depending on where you're at, they might sound like a lot of money or not much money at all. But for me, it was huge, because then I realized if I did this once, I could do it again and again and again. And I might eventually get better at it. And that's what happened. Incrementally got better and better. And then we went from $1,650 to $6,000 to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions. And now I'm on stage here in Brazil. So now I find myself on stage, and this is actually PLF Live Brazil. This is the event put on by Erico Roca, who's my representative, my licensee down here, and he's built this incredible community called PLF Brazil. And this is PLF Live Brazil. This is his, I think, third event now. Each event doubles, so we have 2,500 people here. His next one will have 5,000 if I know Erico. And it's absolutely amazing that it was, and I'll be honest, when I was at home with those kids, that was 20 years ago. But then I started publishing, and I kept on putting one foot in front of the other. And it's absolutely ridiculous that now I can fly from my home in Colorado and spend 20 hours traveling and come to Brazil and find 2,500 people here at PLF Live. And they are having incredible success. The stories of success in this room, unbelievable. The energy in this room, unbelievable. And these people, they're changing the world. They're changing Brazil, and they're changing the world. So what I want to say is that, I started my business out of desperation. And
I just wanted to help support the family. But I never could have imagined where this would go. And the one message I want for you is no matter how big you're thinking, you're not thinking big enough. You're not thinking big enough. It's just moving forward, baby steps. And there's just no limit to what you can create in the world. So I'm Jeff Walker, and we have one more thing we have to do for you. Guys, can you do it?